No, I'm too tired.
Better Nate than Lever. Oh, jeez, and he was on air.
That was a crooner.
We're on air.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Monongalia County Board of Education to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What an exciting night we have this evening. But first order of business is a public hearing to adopt the 2023-2024 budget. Deputy Superintendent?
Yes, I would like to make a recommendation for the adoption of the budget, and this is our public hearing for anyone that's here to speak in regards to the adopted budget for 23-24 school year.
Is anyone here to speak to the budget for the 2023-2024 school year? Deputy, moving on to B.
Yes, so at this time, I recommend that we adopt the budget for the 23-24 school year.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, I got Dan and then Mike. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the adoption of the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you. Now that the boring part's over, the fun part. We're moving on to recognitions, and as board members, this is the most rewarding part. We got graduations coming up this week, which is right up there with it, but it's just so nice to sit here and recognize our students and our staff for the hard work that they do. It's an honor to sit here and do that. So our first recognition tonight is our Golden Horseshoe winners. And I said, and I will read this. It says we would like to recognize our 2023 Golden Horseshoe winners. The Golden Horseshoe exam has been administered in West Virginia each year since 1931 and is the longest running program of its kind in any state. These middle school students have earned the highest scores for their knowledge of West Virginia history and culture. Winners will be honored in June by the West Virginia Department of Education by being inducted as Knights of the Golden Horseshoe Society. Congratulations to each of you on your achievements. And I'll read the names. And I will give the plaques out. I was talking before the meeting instead of getting that stuff ready. Michael and Dan, do you want to do these two? I think we do two board members.
Three or four.
Pass those.
Whichever.
Here. Now, Mr. Berry.
You got the first name,
You got the first one. Our first winner is Maxwell Abildzo of South Middle School. What we'll do is after we do all seven, then we'll bring you guys back up for a group picture. Our second winner, Tyler Kelly of South Middle School. Next recipient is William Tapia of South Middle School. Our next winner is Shelby Baisden of Suncrest Middle School. Our next recipient is Lucille Dahl of Suncrest Middle School.
Mrs. Hicks is here, and so, of course, Mrs. Brown. So
Mrs.
maybe
Adams is here as well.
Next recipient is Laura Lee Namsupak. Our next recipient is Pranav Shore. Stay up here. We're going to bring everyone back up for a group picture. Mike, go on out there and get.
All right.
You guys can bookend these recipients.
Ask Mr. Lytle.
Do the coaches want to be in
Don't
here?
do not
The
ask.
coaches?
That would be
The
good.
teachers,
Yeah.
the teachers.
we do have
the
teachers
teachers,
here, and yes, that
Mrs.
would be
Conley
great.
and Mrs. Adams.
Great.
And then their principals are also here.
Yes.
Mrs. Hicks from Suncrest and Mrs. Brown
Yes,
from
that's
South.
great. Yeah.
I was going to say, you guys got to do a little better than that.
Oh, they're going to have to. They're going to really have to squeeze.
Our next recognitions are the 2023 U.S. Presidential Scholar and National Merit Scholarship winners. We would like to recognize U.S. Presidential Scholar Rania Zuri. Rania is a senior at Morgantown High School and has many accomplishments, including becoming a published children's book author and the founder of a nonprofit foundation for promoting early childhood literacy. Nationally, only 161 high school students were named U.S. Presidential Scholars, and we actually have two. So, or yeah, it's I guess one. I'm sorry. But congratulations. Come on up.
Yes. That's beautiful.
She definitely needs to say something.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Here's a mic to make you more
It's not
nervous.
broadcast, but it's recorded, so.
Hey, this girl's been in the Today Show. She could.
I am so grateful to the Mon County Board of Education. I went to Cheat Lake Elementary, and I briefly lived in Florida for middle school, but I came back here to my mom's alma mater, Morgantown High School, and I've been nothing but welcomed with open arms, and I really just wanted to thank everybody who makes the school system possible, because it's truly the best, and I am so grateful for my time here.
Can you tell us about your children's book?
Yes, so I am an author of a series of children's picture books about Billy Bob, who is an Appalachian hare, and he hippity hops through the hills and hollers of West Virginia, and he discovers different Appalachian musical instruments, and so that's the premise of my first book, and all of the proceeds go to children in Head Start programs. And so it goes to the purchase of brand new books. So it works out that one book sold equals one book to a child in Head Start. And then the second book, which I just released, is called The Bunnyfield and McFluff Feud. And it's loosely inspired by the Hatfield and McCoy feud. And so that also features the same character as well. And so it's been a delight, really, to travel throughout West Virginia with my book, and also to be donating the brand new books as well.
And is that your nonprofit foundation, the donation of the books?
Yes, my
Okay.
nonprofit is called the Literary Society, and we are a group of bibliophiles, and we have meetings and we drink tea, and we donate brand new books to disadvantaged preschool children, and in this country that means Head Start. And so far we've donated more than 18,000 brand new books to children in Head Start programs. Thank you, and that it also includes a project that I called the West Virginia Head Start Road Tour, where we donated a brand new book to every single child in Head Start in the state of West Virginia. And these are all amazing, like brand new titles like Pete the Cat, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, The Mitten, all beloved children's favorites. And so then we've expanded our mission and now have donated brand new books to children in all 50 states. But of course, this started in Mon County. Our first book donation project was with the Barnes & Noble location here, and we got enough brand new books to donate to every single child in Mon County, every single child in Head Start in Mon County, and we did that both last year and this year, and it started in Mon County, and now it's just grown tremendously.
You might mention, you were on a national, you want to talk about your national appearance?
Oh yes, in terms of national appearances, I was a guest on Good Morning America in New York. I went there in July, and then I've also was named a 2022 Teens Making the World a Better Place by Forbes. And I've been featured by Today's Show. I was on the Kelly Clarkson Show and a bunch of other appearances. NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. But what I really have loved about like this exposure is in terms of being in a lot of media sources is that it's really helped spread awareness about book deserts and how we can collectively end them. And through these various appearances, we've got a lot of great donations and also private donors as well. And so it's been great to spread the mission and the love for reading as well. And so, yes.
Thank you.
And Rania, I'm going to keep you,
Yes.
me and Deputy Superintendent have been talking, keep you in the spotlight and move up the, take out of order the culture of literacy video that you guys have this evening, so.
We're going to showcase our kickoff of our Culture of Literacy campaign, video campaign, because I believe we have another star in the room. That might be Mother, who's back here filming. So, Mom, we appreciate so much, both of you, contributing to our campaign. And I would love for our board members and the public to see the first ever showing of the beginning of our videos for the culture of literacy in Monongalia County. Board members, you know that we did a presentation on our reading program and our literacy program last fall. As next steps, I had indicated that we were going to do outreach to our families and again, secure feedback. So as we all know, a lot of individuals don't have the time to come out to individual meetings, so we're going to them through our communication studio, and again kicking off this personal tour that we're going to be making, and Ms. Urban is going to showcase that for us here. So we wanted both of you to see it this evening while you were here.
Hello, I'm Amber Nichols, the 2023 West Virginia Teacher of the Year. I have with me such a very special guest, Monongalia County's own Morgantown High senior. She owns her own nonprofit, and she is an author. This is Rania Zuri. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to take you back, and you have your own nonprofit. Where did that all start?
So it really all started at a very early age. I have always been a bibliophile as a child. I always carried around a book with me. It was a huge part of my life. And in middle school, I had a classics book club. But in 9th grade, I was working on a project to set up a library for young girls. And that's when I learned about how prevalent book deserts were in this country, and how so many children in our nation go without books. And that's when I decided to merge my classics
Classics Book Club with my passion for ending the book desert into the Literary Society. And so it's a nonprofit, and we have lots of members, over 200 members.
We all come together and we have meetings and we donate brand new books to preschool children from disadvantaged families.
Wow. And you are a senior in high school and you've done all of these wonderful things.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, when we talk about the culture of literacy here in Monongalia County, we talk about this lifelong love of learning and how that encompasses all content areas and all grade levels. To me, I think you are the example of culture of literacy. Can you expand a little bit more on your book desert? What is a book desert for those that may not know?
Yes, so book deserts are geographical areas where there's simply not access to books, and sometimes these are rural regions where there are not libraries in a 10 to 20 mile radius, and these children, they don't have books at the homes themselves as well. And so we really focus on eliminating book deserts in the Literary Society. So we really target rural areas in our nation and Head Start children especially, because all of these children, they live at or below the poverty line and don't necessarily have books at home. And so we donate brand new books to children in Head Start in the most rural parts of our nation, of course in West Virginia.
Sure. You are an author. Let's talk about that. I mean, look at these beautiful pieces of work here.
Thank you.
These are amazing. So talk to me about the character, which I love this rich character that you have.
Thank you. Well, this is Billy Bob.
Billy Bob.
And he is an Appalachian hare. And all of the books are West Virginia themed, and all of the proceeds go to brand new books for children in Head Start. And so it works out to one book purchase equals one new book to a child in Head Start. And so this is my first book. This is Billy Bob, and it's called It's Mountain Music to My Ears. And he goes through the hills and hollers of West Virginia, and he meets different Appalachian animals that play different Appalachian musical instruments. And so I really wanted to showcase a big part of Appalachian history and culture. And so you learn about the washboard and the spoons, the musical spoons, and the banjo and instruments like that. And so with this book, I've been traveling to Head Start centers throughout Appalachia, particularly West Virginia and Kentucky, and I bring a little band in the box.
That's amazing.
And so a mini washboards and mini spoons and a mini banjo and fiddle. And so we really make mountain music. And I love to say, we really have some budding Appalachian musicians.
I'm sure.
I've seen the Head Start children. They are making mountain music. And so that is the first book. And this is my latest book. It's called The Bunnyfield and McFluff Feud.
Oh, awesome.
Billy Bob's Tale of Feuds, Families, and Friendships. And so it's loosely inspired on the Hatfield and McCoy feud.
Great.
And these bunnies, so Billy Bob, he goes down to Mingo County to visit his family, and he finds that there's a feud going on with the McFluffs in Kentucky and over a missing pig. And so with this book, all of the proceeds and all of the books that we get from the proceeds of this book will go to Head Start children in Mingo, McDowell County, and Pike County in Kentucky. Okay. So the historic territory of the feud. And yes, and then there's also an up-and-coming third Billy Bob book that I'm very excited about.
Any spoilers you can share?
Well, it has to do with the Flatwoods Monster and pepperoni rolls.
What could get any better than that?
Exactly. Two favorite things about
So you have been on the Today Show. You are on the Forbes list for teens making change. I mean, you are a huge deal. What are your future plans?
Well, we have a lot coming up. I have a U.S. Senate resolution in progress for a one book at a time National Day. And I hope that will bring lots of books to children in Head Start and really garner public support and attention to book deserts and how, as individuals, we can make an impact in eliminating them. And really, as you said, inspire lifelong love of reading. That all starts with that first book, and especially in the pre-reading stage. And these classic beloved books, Pete the Cat, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, Hungry Caterpillar, those books that you can really form a classroom connection with. It all starts with that, and so I hope that will bring so many new books to children in Head Start, and then of course my third book, and I'm going to continue writing books, and I really think that's something that for me has merged like my passion for ending the book together with purpose.
You'll be attending Yale?
Yes.
Wow. And
there's
what do you plan to
Lubac.
study?
I plan to study like economics and math, and also education studies. Yale is a very great education program and certificate that I definitely want to pursue.
We are so proud of you as a Monongalia County student. You are a shining example of this culture of literacy that we're talking about. And it all started with these positive interactions that you had with books, and that you have started and you continue with all of the children that you service, not only in our state, but across the nation. What could you tell the community members, people here, how can they support literacy in their own homes?
I think the biggest thing is reading. Just getting a book, no matter if it's from a library, just reading to your children. I think that's so important, and that you could learn so many vocabulary. You could really be transported into different worlds through books.
Sure.
And just reading all different types of books. And I know as a child, like I practically lived at the library, and that was something. So taking your kids to the library and just having the presence of books, I think is so important.
I have with me Rania Zuri. We've had great conversation about all of the amazing things that she is doing, and we are blessed to have her mother here, Shampa. Thank you so much for creating this amazing human, first of all, and we are so excited to get to talk to you and kind of pick your brain and get some insight into how you made this amazing creature be such a passionate and inspiring woman.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You know, as a teacher, it is so important to get into the minds of the parents and tell us, you know, where did this love of learning and love of literacy come from?
Well, Ranya's always been a bibliophile from an early age. I just, encouraged her to, love books, basically just by having mountains and stacks of books at home. Being the daughter of two professors, that was something that just was a very sort of natural kind of thing that we had, always just a house full of books and papers and so forth. But Rania, from a very early age, just developed a great passion for books, really any sort of books. She would always be seen with a book in her hand, and, more than toys, she just really loved books. And I did all the voices. I always made it a point to read every day with her, even as a 9-10-year-old, because I had read so many studies about the importance of doing read alouds, even past the point of when your child learns to read. And I think one of the methods that had been suggested to me, which I found that was very worthwhile, is, well, you read a page, I read a page, and so that way there's that connection, that interaction, and we did that, even at 10 years old with Harry Potter. And then I think, by the third book she had thrown me out, but until then, either you read a page, I read a page, or you read a chapter, I read a chapter. But there is, I think, no age limit for read aloud, and in hearing that, and bonding with family, and talking about books over dinner, and it's just part of the culture at home. And
I love that you talked about read alouds beyond that early literacy age. I think that's an important piece that we don't talk about a lot.
Right, reading fluency, and even when a child stumbles over hard words and things like that, you can address a lot of that through read aloud, and it's just fun. Still way to when your child is growing up, it's still a wonderful way to stay connected, and you're involved. And I learned all the characters, and I was able to really be a part of that middle school transition and
that's
so forth.
So important, and the bonding time and the time you get to spend together and doing that.
Absolutely, and it can even if it's 20 minutes, you can still do so much in that. And I think that you don't really need to spend a lot of time. Just for me, it was a matter of just putting work aside and going down and spending a half an hour. But I think it really does pay dividends in terms of building that lifelong love of reading and continuing that into adulthood. And,
I like that part that you said too about talking about the book. I think that's something else that we also miss. Comprehension, fluency, vocabulary, all of those rich details are talking about the book.
Talking about the book, absolutely. And talking about things, why did a character do this? And how do you think that affected the outcome? And sometimes even applying it, when it is applicable to your own life. That's just something that I think, creating that culture at home is so important.
Your story, I can't wait for our partnership to continue.
Oh, absolutely.
This is great. Thank you both so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. this is one of those things we usually get into later in the meeting, and everyone's usually gone before this stuff happens, as we start doing the business of the schools and learning about programs and stuff. So it was kind of nice to move that one up so you guys could see a little bit of what our students and our parents and our staff are doing here at the school system, in the school system, to
Very
forward
good.
education.
Thank you.
Okay, our next recognition is the Mon County Schools Service Person of the Year.
Did we forget?
Did I forget something?
Yes, our
Sorry.
national merit.
Missed one.
You guys just hold on. I'm still dumbfounded
B.
by the amount of work that one of our students is doing right now. It's incredible. So our second part of is the National Merit Scholarship winners, and our Morgantown High School seniors Amy Lou and Carter Heron are both 2023 National Merit Scholars winners. Winners are selected based on their academic record, difficulty of subject matter, scores on the preliminary SAT, National Merit Scholarship qualifying test, essays, and recommendations from school officials. Congratulations to these high achievers. Somebody's got to say something.
And Mr. Underdonk is here from
Yes, I was
Morgantown
gonna say.
High? Yes.
Town High. These are some of our brightest stars that we have. We're getting ready to graduate over 400 students. And we cannot wait to see what they're going to do for their futures on Saturday. So, to the ones that got recognized tonight, we love you. We appreciate you. You've carried our school this year, and we appreciate that. And you have definitely set the standard of what's going to happen for the next group coming up to see what they can do, just like you all did. So thank you.
And thank you.
And I want to take this opportunity to thank the parents of these students and the influence you guys have in their lives. All three students is immeasurable. I mean, there's no way to quantify the amount of influence you guys have in that push. And we just want to thank you guys so much for what you guys do. Without you, we would not have this kind of success. So we appreciate the parents here and also all the parents that are in the school system. So. Moving on to, that's what I thought the students would surely do that for me. Our next presentation is the board would like to recognize the 2024 Service Person of the Year, Nora Pacifico.
Yay.
Ms. Pacifico is a bus driver with the Mon County Schools. Congratulations. And we also have Director of Transportation, Tony Harris is here with us. I saw him
Come on up,
outside.
Tony.
So.
Come on up, Tony. Oh, nice.
Yeah, she did. I mean, you have to. Wow, she's really good at a death stare. That was impressive.
Bus driver. I wasn't thinking on it. I was getting scared.
It is.
I would have sat in my seat if you looked at the mirror like that.
It's a requisite to be a parent, and it just carries over to being a bus driver.
It's the sit down and quiet.
I will cry. So I do love my job. I became a bus driver to drive our church's bus, and I never dreamed it would turn into a 22-year career. When I came to I started driving in North Carolina. I drove in Pennsylvania, following my husband through his career. And then when we came home to Morgantown, I started driving for Monongalia County. The joke was, I asked in the training class, how do you not get to do special needs? Because I don't want anything to do with it. And that's the first bus they put me on, and I haven't been off of it since. And I'm a I train. I help with the training of new aides and new drivers that come in. And my passion is the kids. I just love the kids. I do want to say my family's here. Some friends that I work with, my pastor's here, my aide, one of my very good friends, Bo, my brother, my sister-in-law from North Carolina, two of my daughters, my granddaughter, my son-in-law, my niece, my sister-in-law. So it just means a lot to me that they're here. And I've given Mr. Harris a lot of trouble lately.
Mr. Harris, follow that.
I will take. I'm willing to accept all the trouble she has gave me and will give me over the next few weeks, because when I look at Nora, it was very easy to see what she does and how dedicated she is. She wants to learn everything there is about our special needs students, how to transport them and everything. And she don't just keep that to herself. She makes sure all of her colleagues know that and wants to give that to them. If someone has a question, they can go to Nora and she's going to take that time and explain it to them. When we have new aides come into the system, new drivers, she's there training them. She's always looking for the new techniques and she's conveying that over. Nora says this is not about her, it's about her family and transportation and the school system. And that's right. She does not look for the limelight. She likes to be in the back there and let everyone else shine. And she makes everyone shine. And I'm very proud of her, that I've gotten to know her and going to be working for several years with her.
She did. I heard.
Somebody's phone's vibrating constantly.
Yes.
Our next recognition is the board would like to recognize the 2024 Teacher of the Year, Melissa Farley.
Woo!
Yeah, Miss Farley is a mathematics teacher at University High School. Congratulations.
Miss Green.
Yeah, Principal
Miss
Green,
Green,
is in
please.
attendance. You need to wait to get in the picture. Get in
Yeah.
the picture. Let's try. My phone is vibrating.
Right now?
Close it.
Something's vibrating. Oh, right here, you need that.
Where's Mike? Mike's seat.
I really don't have a lot to say other than I'm extremely honored to have been chosen as Monongalia County Teacher of the Year, specifically because there's so many amazing teachers that work in this county. So I'm just one of many very, very deserving teachers to receive this. I don't even know if I'm deserving, but I'm honored, trying to say. I just want to say, like, I love University High School. I'm so proud to be a part of that school and that community. It's been my home now for over 25 years, and I can't imagine being anyplace else. And this has been such a wonderful experience just to hear the remarks from students and their parents and former students. You know, it's so nice to feel like what you've done matters to people, and so that is the best thing about being a teacher. And I'm also very grateful to be a part of Mon County Schools simply because there's really not a lot we want for in this county. Like, we have everything we need to do our job as effectively as possible. So once again, thank you everyone so much. I'm extremely, extremely honored.
Charlotte truly is a leader in our school. She's involved in almost every aspect of it. She's an instructional collaborator. She takes all of our new teachers under her wing and leads them, gives them what for when they need it, and just truly guides them and leads them in the right direction. She organizes our homecoming event.
our mic is not on.
She's our National Honor Society sponsor. Oh. Oh, great.
Tell her how great she is.
Okay, you're good. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to start over.
No.
Okay, thank you. I just can't say enough about her. She was nominated in our school. We have a process where our teachers nominate during faculty senate. So she was nominated by her colleagues, and then it was voted. So we're all very proud of her and very lucky to have her.
Here we go.
Okay, we have no delegations tonight, so everyone that's here, that's not here for the business of the board, can scoot out the door at this point. If you want to stick around, you're allowed to. It's an open meeting. Deputy Superintendent, reports, discussions, and follow-up action.
Yes, I would like to combine A and B here this evening. We have representatives for the Bond Financial Advisory Service Agreement and the Bond Council Engagement Letter. So Nicole, would you introduce our guests here this evening?
Tonight we have with us Rob Steptoe from Cruz and Associates, and Roger Hunter and Tom Piercy from Bowles Race. They will be speaking briefly about the bond timelines and items to consider as we move forward to planning the bond. Just to give you a little background, in 2018-2019, we contracted with both firms to refinance our bonds, and it was a very seamless process with their expertise guiding us along the way. So on the agenda tonight, there are two agreements that we are recommending for approval. And with that, I will turn it over to Rob and Roger and Tom. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm Roger Hunter from Bowles Rice, a bond counsel firm that worked with you before that Nicole alluded to. We were honored to be a part of that transaction, and we would be delighted and honored to be a part of your proposed bond issue, which will do a number of wonderful things if approved and by the voters and successfully closed in due course. And so Tom Piercy is with me. He is the partner within our firm who focuses primarily on GO bonds, general obligation bonds of this sort, and does a lot of this work. We just last week closed a rather large GO school bond over in the Eastern Panhandle for about $124,940,000. And so we love doing this work. I sometimes tell younger lawyers that who ask me what I do, I said, we do happy law. We don't fight, beat on other people, and take depositions and go to court and argue. If we do our jobs right, we guide a client to successful financing completion, and usually good things, some projects, some schools, some needed facilities or improvements, bridges, roads, whatever it may be. And people are usually happy, and that's fun. And so it's been 40-some years that I've been doing some variation of this, and I enjoy it very much. But Tommy is really the one who will be the point on this. I'll be in the wings to help. And we've worked with Rob before. We love working with Rob and Cruz and Associates. They're very successful at what they do in terms of financial advisory services. And with that, I'll just let Tommy take the podium and walk you through some of the highlights of the process that you're about to embark upon. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to, if you approve this tonight, to be your bond counsel.
Well, thank you, Roger. And one of the things I love going to school board meetings is to see the awards like tonight with the students and the service person and the teachers. But bond counsel can always clear a room if it wasn't already cleared. So we're very used to that. But this is exciting to us nonetheless. Rob put together a great timeline. I think you may have a copy of that in front of you this evening.
And this is what I should have a copy of this.
We see that as very much a preliminary timeline. There's a lot of variables there, but we just wanted to give the board an idea of what maybe this process looked like moving forward over the coming months and years. One of the first things that we have to do is work with the professional team, architects and engineers, the board and its staff, to develop a projects list. But then once we have an estimated amount of what those projects will cost, a funding source. So when we think about that, we think about bond proceeds, maybe state and local grant funds, maybe federal funds, maybe SBA awards. There's any number of private donations as well, any number of mix, we can fund that. But of course, we anticipate, at least as we've discussed preliminarily, that the primary funding source would be the issuance of public school bonds or general obligation bonds. From there, once we put together that projects list and really have our funding sources identified, we would have a bond election order, and that would be something that would be before the board for consideration that would list that, but also include a sample ballot and set the election date. And then at that time, once the election date was set, and I think currently there's a target for May of 2024, that's the primary election, it would go to the voters. And if approved by the voters by a simple majority, at that point we're really off to the races. There would be bond authorizing resolutions. We have to go through an attorney general process where he approves the proceedings to date. And then really Rob and his team take over to market the bonds, sell the bonds, and close on it. So that is a very concise summary of a very long timeline that you have in front of you. Of course, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Before that, though, I want to turn it over to Rob to introduce himself and talk a little bit more about the project. So thank you.
I know some of you all, and some I'm looking forward to meeting along the way. Very excited, to say the least, about this opportunity for the county and the students here. And so, in a nutshell, what my team does is we have a fiduciary duty of care and loyalty to this board. And I'm going to be involved looking at everything, working with Tom and Roger and the board, putting together documents, doing lots of calculations. My team consists of a primary analyst and then a secondary analyst, and also an entire department in our home office that specializes in school bond advisory services and also in underwriting. So we have a perspective from both the advisor's role and also the underwriter's role, which serves as well. So we have a lot of resources, a lot of experience in advisory and public school underwriting. And as Roger and Tom alluded to, in our duties, we always look at other financings in our market, in the region, and nationally to look at the features, the terms, the pricing, and so forth. And the financing, the bond sale that was put together for Berkeley County last couple of weeks ago, I believe, is a really an interesting and helpful sort of look at where the market is right now. Obviously, we're all aware of the fact that interest rates are not what they used to be a year or so ago. But then again, we aren't selling bonds for a little while. So hopefully the rate environment improves, but there are options beyond an interest rate that you would have to take at sale. And so that's where we came in and with Roger and Tom in 2019, or excuse me, 2019, on the 2012 bonds. We were able to refinance those to save about $3 million net savings on the 2012 bonds. We paid those bondholders off, and we swapped in new bondholders, and I think they mature in 2033. So interest rates are a little high right now in terms of not really having savings on those bonds. However, again, a year or two from now, the rate environment hopefully will look different. But in any case, what we'll do is we'll put a lot of calculations together on the levy, on the taxable property here in the county as far as the assessed values go. We will work with Roger and Tom incorporate a lot of information into the bond election order, and that sort of frames out the levy calculations, the property valuations, and a lot of the project information and the parameters that you all set for the bond sale ahead of time. And then, as Tom was saying, when you all adopt that, the bond campaign begins in earnest, and there are a lot of action items in that schedule that I put together, sorry. But I think it's a helpful look at sort of start to finish what we have ahead of us, and we're excited and look forward to getting to that point where we're selling bonds and closing.
Any questions?
We're happy to answer any questions you may have, and again, yes, ma'am.
So, needless to say, when we did the bond issuance in 2003, we did 30 years. Are all pretty much, is that a standard term?
No, there's no one-size-fits-all here. And one of the things that your team will work with you to study is that question of maximum term. I can tell you that I've been doing this 40-some years. 15 years is quite popular. I'm not sure why. I think a lot of school boards think, well, that's about how long our facilities will be, good, and then maybe we want to run a new bond. So 15 years is popular for reasons that are not 100% apparent to everybody, but that's popular. Some school boards in rural, small areas are very conservative, and they just don't think their voters will want to go very long. That's a factor some places. You can go longer, and that is a trade-off. It may spread out your payments, but you'll be paying interest for longer. And so that's the sort of thing that Rob and his team can help you look at different scenarios, see what the impact is on your annual payments, see what the impact is on your taxpayers, and basically from a menu of decent, reasonable choices that we can put in front of you, you can select as a board. You're the deciders. So at the end of the day, we give you a range of menu options, and you'll have to pick. The one thing that's unique about school board general obligation bonds is that they have to be, if the voters approve them, then you begin the post-election phase, and you have to set forth the parameters at which you will offer your bonds to the public. And then what happens is there is actually, in today's world, it's a digital process, but there is a competitive bidding process. And so that guarantees you, by law, that's what the code requires, that guarantees you that you will get the very best, most competitive rate at that time for your bonds in terms of the overall average interest rate or yield that you pay. And so it's an interesting process. It's somewhat unique. Most bond issues are not done that way. They're done through underwriters and privately, not subject to a bid process like that. So it's different. And what you want to do is try to work with Rob and his team to position your board and your offering of the bonds in the best light possible that will do what you need to do for your school district and your students, and do it at what gives you the best chance to get the reasonable financial terms. Usually he will recommend that you pursue at least one rating. Sometimes some school districts may apply for underlying ratings that are independent of what the state's rating is. There's also a program rating you can get from Standard & Poor's that's tied to the state's rating. And so those are kind of issues that he will work with you on. You pay something for those kind of ratings up front, but it may be worth it in savings, and that's the kind of analysis he'll have to do with you and for you. So it's an interesting process, and if we all do our jobs right, it is sort of a happy law, I think.
Just historical perspective, the $50 million bond that we passed at that time was the highest in the state of West Virginia and was exceedingly scary to a lot of the citizens and voters. And the 30-year was really seemed to be the consensus of what everyone could live with. I remember standing in front of groups and saying in our business output, our business value is going to be this. And they all looked at me like we were crazy. And now it's about 5 times that amount. So it's been, it's hard to predict the future, and you try to take that analysis of what's happening in your area and say all that, and then you start talking about, well, as those values go up, your personal responsibility, as we get more citizens that move here, and all of this will reduce. And people they just think that's never going to happen. And I think we're going to have the advantage of having documents that will show that, because they did think we were crazy at the time. I can still remember sitting at South Auditorium, and everyone looked at us like we all had 15 heads. But it's a very interesting process. So you just have to start somewhere. So.
You, as a school district and as a county, you have so many good things going for you. I mean, we practice all over the state, and we have a lot of great school districts, but you're on a short list of the best, and you're in a metro, an area, a demographic area that's growing. That's not true everywhere in West Virginia, and so you're fortunate and blessed in that way, and hopefully the voters will understand that with that growth comes some responsibilities for your school district that you all have to shoulder and burden, and hopefully the taxpayers would see it that way too.
And I think they value it. I mean, I think if you look at our historical voting record, there have been very few all-no's, and at that time, I always say that's an opportunity to gather up some gumption and will, and maybe revamp what you put out there. And it actually was very freeing, because there were some things that we really didn't want to talk about, because we had so many buildings that were built in 1928 that people just couldn't grasp it all. So whatever happens, you just move forward.
I was here as an undergrad in the early 70s, and let's just say lots changed in this area. I think for the better, although the traffic, I'm not sure everybody would agree that's better, but anyway, no, it's exciting to have the chance to work with you on this, and I think we all feel that way.
Thanks for answering my question.
Any other questions?
By the way, I was really excited to hear she's going to Yale. That's my alma mater for law school.
Yes. All right, at this time, I'd like to recommend Cruz and Associates as the bond financial service agreement that is before you.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions about, and we're working on A right now. Hearing none, all in favor of the bond financial advisory service agreement as presented signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Deputy Superintendent?
Yes. And to coordinate with that, I'd like to recommend Bowles Rice as the bond counsel, and the engagement letter there is before you.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the bond counsel engagement letter as presented signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. We are very excited.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Exciting time for Monongalia
Yes,
County
it is.
Schools. We've already done C, so.
Great.
On to D.
Yes, well, again, in line with what we do for education, we'd like to welcome here this evening two wonderful teachers from Clay Battelle, and Assistant Principal Jackie Schimmel, but we have Beth Knotts and Nikki Mattingly with us, and they have taken on this responsibility of spearheading the Game Changer program, and they'd like to share their progress.
And I'm nervous. I'm glad a lot of them left. You could put me in a room of like 100 sixth graders and I could talk all day, but I do have a speech written. And so just bear with me. Good evening, Deputy Superintendent Talarico, Monongalia County Board of Education members, and guests. Thank you for having us this evening to provide you with a brief overview of the Game Changer program at Clay Battelle. My name is Nikki Mattingly, and this is Beth Knotts, my partner. We are both teachers at Clay Battelle, and we serve as the Game Changer coaches for the program. So what is Game Changer? That was the big question whenever Governor Justice came into our school last spring. I'll be honest, I had many questions, and when he left, I still had questions. But I knew that when I found out Clay Battelle was going to be one of the 12 pilot schools for the program, this is cool. This is about drugs. This is a problem, and I need to be involved somehow because I find myself involved in just about anything that I can get my hands onto. I also knew that I was very passionate about addiction because I lost my mother to addiction. So I wanted to help other students who maybe were children of parents with addiction and to help steer children in the right direction towards healthy lifestyles. And I know that Beth is just as passionate as I am. So that's why we jumped on board with this program. We still had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. So we'd like to take you a little bit on this journey. It began for us in late August of this year, and we quickly learned exactly what Game Changer is. This program is a statewide initiative to create a student-led substance misuse prevention program in every school by the year 2027-28. Year one rolled out 12 pilot schools, and each year more will be added until every single school, elementary through high school, will have this type of support system for West Virginia students. Guess I should change that. Throughout a partnership with Hazelton Betty Ford and a group of highly skilled trained professionals, we, the coaches, started meeting with a different individual every month who flies down to meet with us from the New England area, and they're wonderful. Beth, myself, and our administration, we are greeted by some of the kindest, most passionate people that you'll ever meet. And we didn't know this until we met them. The one requirement to work for Prevention Solutions is you must be a recovering addict. And so they have shared their stories with us and our children that are on the team that we'll tell you about later. So they're obviously very passionate about this issue as well. It's real talk, real situations, and real relationships that were established early on. Game Changer is not a drug education program. That is the biggest misconception. We are not educating about drugs. I don't consider myself a professional for that, but it is to start early with prevention. The goal is for Game Changer to form, train, and help implement a peer leadership group that we have done at Clay Battelle that will model substance-free lifestyles and provide their peers with refusal skills and support to make healthy choices. As coaches, the support that we have received from our colleagues, students, parents, administration, state Game Changer leaders, and Prevention Solutions staff has been amazing. We are in constant contact. We have so many resources from so many people that update us with things, schedule our monthly meetings. It's just been wonderful. Beth is going to talk to you about our first step when we met with them, which was to collect data, which is what every teacher likes to do, right? So give it to Beth. You want me to do your clicker? Are you good?
So Clay Battelle participated in 6 professional development sessions through the year. 3 additional sessions were set aside for us to work with peer leaders. Each time we had a session, we had a different speaker from the Prevention Solution, which gave us a chance to get perspective and ideas from a variety of different presenters. In addition to the Game Changer coaches training, Prevention Solution also met with our PLCs several times through the year, so they explained that process to the staff and let them know that when we started the peer leadership, how important it was that the kids get together and be excused from class to meet all of those needs. The Game Changer program focuses on meeting the needs of each individual school and community, so gathering information from parents, students, and staff was critical. The first step we had in gathering data was to administer the student behavior and attitude survey. This survey was completed in September by students and focused on student attitudes and behaviors related to alcohol and other drugs, as well as the beliefs of family members and friends. This survey gave us information about student health, or school and student perceptions of student use, and stressors that they have in their lives. In completing the survey, students were randomly picked a numerical login from an envelope. We didn't want the students to feel that we had any way to track what their response was, because some of them were thinking, I can't be honest on this. So we really emphasized, to be honest, we will have no idea what you've answered individually. The second step, also on that one, the Prevention Solutions also explained that they have a built-in component that eliminates any students that are being dishonest. So if they answer a question and say that they use marijuana daily, but they've never tried alcohol, that's a red flag that they're probably not being honest in that, and then those surveys were eliminated from the data. The second step was to do the prevention assessment, and that was a questionnaire that was completed by students, staff, parents, and community members. We put out a link on our social media page and on our homepage to allow parents and community members to take a survey. Again, everything was anonymous. After that was completed, a prevention solution specialist came to the school and met with groups of parents and students and teachers. They talked to some of them individually and some of them as a group to identify information to get a clear picture of our school climate and identify areas of concern. In an effort to introduce this program and goals to our community, we also formed a community member cohort that consisted of teachers, parents, and members of our community, school nurses, outreach facilitators, administrators, and this gave us a chance to explain what the Game Changer program was and let them know what the common goal of this organization is, to have children and teens make healthy decisions using, staying away from substance abuse. Our findings: after Prevention Solutions Specialists analyzed the results from both the student behavior survey and the prevention assessment, they gave us a detailed report of what they found. The Hazelton Betty Ford Foundation found through extensive research that evidence-based social norms approach to substance abuse prevention is a simple concept with a profound implication. Sharing the healthy truths can reduce students' use of alcohol and drugs. The reality is that many students around the world do not regularly use alcohol or other substances. By sharing this information with students, parents, school, community, and their peers, young people are taught to hold healthier, more realistic beliefs and feel less pressure to fit in by using substances. At Clay Battelle, we found that our students overestimated alcohol and marijuana use with their peers. Only 13% of students from a particular grade level reported that they had tried marijuana, but on the survey, 47% felt like students in their grade level used drugs. As coaches, we selected impactful data to share with our students and staff. And each week, I presented information to the staff that they posted on their board. Nothing was ever mentioned. The students could just say, hey, that's an interesting fact, or I disagree with that. So it opened up the door to have communication about, this is our data. Do you agree, disagree? What do you think about it? The Prevention Solutions gave us some recommendations about moving forward. They recommended that we expand our substance abuse education through health classes, and they also recommended that we spend some PLC time in the future to talk about substance abuse, early intervention, recognition of signs of maybe a student that might be in need of intervention of drug or alcohol addiction.
So after we got the data and went over the findings as coaches, the next step was the ultimate goal, which was to form a peer leadership group. And so the process for selecting and creating a peer leadership group began after we showed the film One Pill Can Kill. And did you all receive the link from Mr. Hinkins? I just didn't know if you had a chance to watch it, but we showed that film in our student advisory classes. Small groups held discussions with the kids. It was the first time I've ever shown something that they were glued to it. And I think it was because it was so local and they could form connections. They were like, that's Fairmont, and oh, there's UHS in that film. So they really appreciated that film and they really opened up to talk. After we showed the film, we said, okay, now we're going to have a group for Game Changer. It's called Peer Leadership, and there is an application on the school website. If you're interested in joining, fill it out. And Beth and I hoped we'd get like 10 kids. We were like, please, like you don't know. And we have 46 that immediately applied. And that was a big victory for us for our first time putting it out there. So we sat down with administration and we went over the applications and we narrowed it down to 14 students that became our peer leadership group from grades 9 through 12. We chose not to do middle school yet. We didn't want to bite off more than we could chew the first year. We thought high school kids could then model to the middle school kids about Game Changer. So once the group was selected, they participated in a 3-day intensive training with one of the people from Prevention Solutions. You can see him there. His name was Mr. G, and he was so engaging with the kids. I think, Mrs. Walker, did you meet with Mr. G? And he taught them the foundation for drug awareness, substance misuse, things like that, but I had no idea about this. Game Changer, they want to teach the peer leadership group public speaking skills and confidence and how to be good role models for the students in the school. And they taught them how to write their testimony, and you could walk up to any one of them. In fact, we did it this morning, and they'll tell you their name, their grade, and why they choose to be substance free. And it's just like part of their motto now. And they have provided a school-wide assembly to the middle school assembly. They were a little bit intimidated with the high school the first year, so they did that. They've learned skits to show the middle school students refusal skills. They dance, they sing. They're phenomenal. They do whatever we ask of them. I totally went away from my speech, but that's okay. We held a community parent night where they could come and watch One Pill Can Kill, and we had a good turnout for that. Once again, they spoke for the middle school student body, did their skits, told their testimonies. For Teacher Appreciation Week, their group is called SALSA, which stands for Students Advocating Life Without Substance Abuse. So we did chips and salsa for Teacher Appreciation Week, just to thank the teachers for being so understanding and flexible with us in our first year. They really enjoyed it. The kids donated all the food and salsa. The t-shirt at our community film showing, there was a parent who came up to me afterwards in tears, and she thanked me for everything that I was doing, that we were doing, and she was very passionate because she had a child who had battled addiction, and she said, I want to donate shirts for your group. And they made them, they paid for them, and so they have their own t-shirts. Many people in the community have reached out to us wanting to support this group. It's been wonderful. Another highlight is we were invited to go meet with Senator Manchin at Game Changer headquarters in Fairmont. We could not take the whole crew, so we narrowed it down to some select students. That was wonderful. We met with North Marion Peer Leadership Group, Lincoln High School Peer Leadership Group, the middle schools and elementary schools that were in our area that have clubs as well. And that was just a wonderful opportunity. This program has not only provided our students with great knowledge, it has helped build their confidence, presentation skills, and engagement strategies, and we cannot wait to move forward. Next year we will add more to this crew, and Beth will tell you about our goal for middle school.
So actually today we did our final meeting with Prevention Solution, and Nikki and I had ideas of where we saw the program going next year, and we even had a chance to develop some new ideas that we're excited about. We do want to extend the peer leadership program to our middle school students. They will come back in January and they'll do a follow-up with our high school students. We have 2 seniors that we are graduating, so we'll need 2 high school students to fill those spots. And we will bring on a middle school team that will get trained, and the high school students can be a mentor to them. We want to continue to work with assemblies, not only at Clay Battelle, but we'd like to get the message to Mason-Dixon. And that message will be a little different than what we do at the high school. It won't be necessarily saying the word drugs, but it's going to talk about building confidence and making healthy decisions. We want to do a PSA campaign, so at sporting events, we want to have the students giving a little information about peer leadership, about Game Changer, about being substance-free, the harmful effects of vaping and things that need to get out to the public. When we worked with students, Nikki and I don't have the same planning period, so we were meeting with them at different times or trying to find a time in the morning to meet. Next year, it will be much easier because we will have a flex period, so we will be able to see those students on a weekly basis, to touch base with them, to work on developing skits, to work on, we also want to do a poster campaign. This year we asked students to make posters for prom and graduation that were emphasizing the importance of not drinking and driving. Game Changer is also sponsoring a writing contest for students to submit writing about why they are substance free and what's their lifestyle like that keeps them away from drug use. So it will give us that opportunity to work with students a little bit more with that. We want to make connections with the schools from Harrison County and Marion County. So we've already talked to their coaches to get together on a Saturday, just in a fun way for kids to get together, play basketball, do something, and then have a chance that we can sit down and share ideas. We have had a few online meetings with the Betty Ford Foundation, and it's been wonderful to have a chance to talk to the other 12 schools, see what they're doing, and we're just kind of grabbing ideas, and we just think if we could do that face-to-face, that would really help us. We're also wanting to do a club for Game Changers, because we know that we had 44 students interested in this, so we want to expand it out that even though they may not be a peer leader, we want them to be part of the program, so that's a way that we can get them involved in a club. But we really believe that the program that we're building is going to reduce risk factors that contribute to unhealthy behaviors, as well as nurture and strengthen protective factors that contribute to the health and well-being of our students and community.
And I will tell you, just to toot our own horn, they told us today that Clay Battelle is leaps and bounds ahead of all the other pilot schools, so I was really excited to hear that. We will be featured in the next Game Changer blog. They will feature Clay Battelle and their peer leadership group, so I'm really proud of year 1. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, I just want to thank you so much for all that you do. I mean, that enough can't be said for it. I think everybody in this room has probably lost someone or knows someone who's been lost to this terrible epidemic. And I, as a board member, I just want to know, what more can we do to help you?
just having your support
Just
really
the support
helps.
that we're already getting. We don't have any wants. I mean, our administration is great in supporting us. The teachers are great. It was wonderful to have Mrs. Walker come out. We'd love for any of you that would like to come out. The next time they come, they just have so much knowledge when they meet with us. They're coming back in August. We just got our schedule for next year. So.
You know, and if you want to come out when we're doing an assembly, we can let you know, because we would love to have you come out and sit in.
The kids love to just show off their stuff. They say, can we go to all the schools in town? Hold back. I'm glad that you're proud, but maybe.
One thing I'd like to comment on, I'd love to hear them when they said they were doing public speaking, is I think that's the single most confidence builder.
You saw me up here, and I even practiced it this morning with the
We're extremely
professionals.
nervous.
But I just think it's great. 4-H does a nice program with the public speaking, but I think once you get the kids to that level, there's no peer pressure.
They really don't know how to speak. I mean, they don't know how to hold conversations, because of this. So it was really refreshing to put them out of their comfort zones, up on stage, and
And it's amazing how they develop their confidence. And, we had one girl that was just so timid, so shy, and she was just, when we practiced on stage the first time, just in front of us, she's like, I can't do this, like, I don't know what to say. And just her confidence after doing it a few times, she wasn't using any notes, she was able to, she knew in her heart what she needed to say, and it's just amazing how they've changed and developed.
I just think it's such a huge difference. And then when they get peer pressure, it's no big deal to them. It's like, I'm not afraid of you. I've been in front of people, So that's great. I hope they continue that.
I'm really excited about this. I think it's another aspect to social emotional supports. And I think we had some schools that had peer education programs in the past. And then as teachers left, that they it wasn't in the health curriculum anymore. And I think that students and actually your community is going to listen more to these peer educators, peer leaders, than anything else that can come out anyway. Then if we sent all the information home in a board packet or click this button, it's not as meaningful as if it comes from families and students that they're familiar with, and I know so-and-so, and yes, it's just, and again, it's that finding a caring ear, a caring adult, a caring fellow student to help support people in making better decisions. And when I first saw some of the other things that were mentioned as a outgrowth of this program and the supports, it's a lot of the things I think a lot of schools have struggled with. And students have made, life-altering, life-changing decisions based on where they were at a moment, and they felt like they had no one they could turn to. And I think this is just another way to create that support system. So thank you for working on it so hard, and
we're really hoping, they haven't announced yet so year 2 is 50 schools. They did what is it, 12?
Yeah, 12.
And then it's 50 next year, and we're hoping, and Kim Legg, the director of Game Changers, she can't tell us anything, but we're hoping for Mason-Dixon, our feeder school, because that would just be how it makes sense, So she's like, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. So, but our kids still want to go, even if they aren't a Game Changer school, they still want to start building that relationship and starting talking to them early.
Well, in this program, this is a financial obligation that this county made, a decision the administration put forth. So it was thought that the smaller atmosphere would be a good place to start this implementation.
We appreciate it.
I think there'll be other schools possibly in the future that are going to want to participate, but that will be another financial commitment. So we'll have to continue to see what the recommendations are, and
I think it's great that hopefully you will be creating drug-free adults, because our society needs drug-free adults now. It's just, drugs are running rampant. I mean, 82%, that was an interesting number. You couldn't get that if you went out on the street. I don't think you'd see 82% would make that statement.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And please, when you guys get your schedule together, please get that over to Teresa, and then she'll get it out to us, and then give us the opportunity to come see what you guys are doing firsthand. So. All right, Deputy Superintendent, moving on.
Absolutely. Well, amazingly, concurrently, while we were working with Game Changer, two of our staff members here, Courtney Crawford and Angela Hayes, had sought a grant which was available to us, again, along the lines of supporting mental health. And I'm going to let them, of course, tell you about it. And it also is serving Clay Battelle. So I know they have also someone with them, and they'll bring us up to date.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I'm Courtney Crawford. I'm the Director of Assessment, Accountability, and School Counseling for Monongalia County Schools.
I'm Kristen Sears. I'm the school counselor at Mason-Dixon Elementary. Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Hayes, Coordinator of Psychological Services. Thank you.
And just like Donna said, this is a perfect night to talk about this program with all the celebrations that took place early on, and now we get to celebrate great things going on in our schools. So it's just a perfect meld of information. So I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory on what's called the Expanded School Mental Health Grant. In 2020, we were approached by Crittenton Wellspring about the possibility of applying for one of these grant opportunities in the state. There are about, how many counties? Is that 30 counties who have a grant with a partnering agency, and they've applied for them for a number of different things. When we initially were approached, 2020, we were thinking about bringing kids back to school. We were really focused on looking at those transitional grade levels, like 5th graders going into 6th grade and 8th graders going into 9th grade, and our initial application was not accepted. Then fast forward to the school year of 2020-2021, and I had started doing this biannual visit to my school counselors that I'm calling the campfire meetings, where I go in and we talk about what needs do you see in your schools, what needs aren't being met, and loud and clear from both Clay Battelle and Mason-Dixon, we had very serious conversations about the issues created by proximity to town or lack of proximity to town in connecting students and families with mental health resources. We were hearing that a family might get connected with a resource that's going to come out to the home or to the school, but then because of the travel for the agency, they were cutting down services to maybe only once a month when the student was really recommended for a weekly support. We were hearing information about, we got this family connected to a service. They were ready to go. They were ready to get their students started, and then the family realized that it was the commitment of having to get into town or transportation was an issue, and so there wasn't the follow-through. So with that, we were then approached again by Crittenton Wellspring about the possibility of applying for another grant, and we said, we've got it. We want to focus on our students who are in our most, with the furthest distance from the services provided in the city of Morgantown. And so we applied for this grant, focusing on our students in the western side of Monongalia County. So we were then approved, and the premise of this grant is really to focus on not only on connecting students with services, but also then providing some additional supports for the family.
So really, this summer, Courtney and I were able to meet with not only the Bureau of Health and Human Services, but there's a component of Marshall University along with Department of Education. So a lot of virtual meetings with not only our schools who are part of the 30 counties, but all of the 90 other schools across the state who are maybe in year 1, year 2, year 3 of this grant. So hearing how the other counties have developed their services, we were able to listen and learn from how they were incorporating the services from the agency into our schools, because those are two really different entities to welcome a community outpatient mental health into how a public school system runs. So Courtney and I spent a lot of time listening and paying attention to how other counties were working their system out, while also really kind of planning for the new year, because this was July of August. So between Courtney and I and Mon County, and knowing we were going to work with Mason-Dixon and Clay-Battelle, Crittenton Services, also AKA Wellspring, located in Wheeling and Morgantown, work together to kind of just kids go to an outpatient center either during school hours or after school hours. So what we did, we were able to identify needs at Mason-Dixon and Clay-Battelle. A lot of these were individual therapy needs, but there were also family therapy, home-to-school counseling. We were able to then identify which programs we needed. And these are actual evidence-based programs that we have either been able to, been given by the department, or we have been able to purchase, or things that are already in our schools. And then we identified a referral system for staff and students. I'm going to hand out a couple really cool infographics that Crittenton had created to make the referral process really easy for families and really easy for school folks to be able to refer to students. And the great thing about expanded school mental health is it's everything that really we already do and we're used to in the public school system. You know, the age-old triangle where these folks are really offered to all of our students, and the benefits to students are listed there. And just like Mrs. Walker mentioned, that this really is a mental health aspect, a social emotional aspect for all students, and also to reduce some barriers. So our two folks who are in our schools are spending a lot of time at Tier 1, so working with all students and pushing into classrooms and doing some education. We'll get into what they're doing at Tier 2 and Tier 3, and really Kristen has been on the forefront firsthand, being able to work with these folks and to benefit Mason-Dixon. Go ahead.
Okay, so using the tiered system of supports at Tier 1, so this benefits all of our students, and they are going into classrooms. They're utilizing body safety, so they've done a body safety lesson with all grade levels. And then we started this year, because it was our first year, we didn't want to throw too much on everyone's plates. We started with Too Good for Drugs, just with our 4th and 5th graders, because we are worried about that transition to Clay-Battelle and giving them that foundation. So all of our 4th and 5th graders received 10 weeks of Too Good for Drugs, which the kids really responded really well to, and it incorporated a lot of foundational components like being assertive, identifying needs, and identifying emotions, and communication styles, because all of those lay the foundation for, gaining that awareness. And it's really nice because it does build on what Clay-Battelle was just working on with Game Changers. So that would be an awesome thing to work on together in the future as well. And then Clay-Battelle, they're up there doing body safety. They're doing Catch My Breath lessons, which are vaping prevention, education, awareness for kids. So, and at Mason-Dixon for Tier 1, they are kind of involved in our PBIS system as well. So when we have school-wide initiatives, they're there. They're helping us run programs. They're talking to kids about those things. So that's really nice, because that's kind of a core component of our school. Tier 2, so this is kind of like a smaller portion of students where, our student supports team, myself, our admin, our outreach, we kind of get together and identify who has some more specific needs based on, maybe parent report or student report or even teacher report. And so this is building small group sessions based on specific interventions that might be needed. So for an example, we had, they ran a 5th grade small group with girls, helping girls build up skills before we transition again into Clay-Battelle for 6th grade, because that brings a whole new things to deal with. And so our goal for next year is to definitely build on more and more groups, myself working with them, so we can have groups spanning from K to 5, all the way, targeting specific behavioral needs, emotional needs, attendance needs, all sorts of things going on with our students. And I know they're also running groups up at Clay-Battelle as well, based on the same things. And then tier 3, this was, as Courtney said, kind of our main goal that we were really wanting is to get our kids some of that therapy support that they don't necessarily have access to, or the resources just seem a little further for them than most. And so that's been something that we've it's taken a little bit of time to really get into the logistics and, figuring out who has these needs and then working with parents and getting parents on board with that as well. But it's really nice because it can occur at our school. They don't have to, parents can come into the school for their basic intake, so you don't have to travel to an office. Or parents can choose to have it done at their home. So whatever is more comfortable for the parents. And then we collaborate with them. They can see the students within the school. So again, when we have parents' schedules, chaos at home, they are seeing kids at school. So it's not an extra burden on our parents to get these kids the support. And they are working, kind of following up with the parents and families once a month based on what's going on. So it's a really nice addition, and we're hoping to continue to build on it in the future.
And so, just like Clay Patel mentioned with Game Changer, we are excited to say that the grant did renew for next year. So we do have some plans that we just actually met today, Courtney and I, with Crittenton. We are required by the grant to have monthly meetings and trying to just scope out next year. We definitely want to increase awareness of the grant. Our master's level counselor and bachelor's therapist or counselor will also be working through the summer. They're going to really push into all of our efforts at the school level. So Summer Avalanche, they're going to be a part of different groups, be on board just throughout the summer, continue to see their intensive counseling students that they will see, make some home visits. And to increase our family involvement. We can give some really great individual stories, but we, of course, don't want to divulge confidentiality, but really working with the whole family and doing some great things to get kids to go to school. I'm sorry, I just skipped increase our capacity for intensive therapeutic services, because again, that was our main goal, and we believe that not only more students could benefit at that in Clay Battelle and Mason-Dixon, but we can definitely reach more students with 2 whole workers. We also discussed a little bit more about behavior modification and how that can embed with PBIS and all of the incentives that come along with coming to school and being part of the school community. These 2 individuals have really been a part of the school community the second part of this school year, and people have been excited to see them and welcome them like they are part of the faculty and staff. So they really are able to connect with kids and hopefully build those plans. We put so much effort in evidence-based programs and continue to realize what works, not just prevention, but also the education component. And we did actually get more good news today. We were trying to make sure that access for all, and not just certain students who have certain insurances, whether it be state insurances and public insurances or private insurances. It was one of our main goals for even beginning this program. And again, we hit a little bit of a roadblock by some restraints on insurance, and that restraint has just been lifted, which is really great because we have the licensed and certified workers who are able to bill insurances, most all insurances. So really no constraint on all students who need to be referred for the service.
So, again, this is just a perfect layering of supports for students in the Clay Battelle Mason-Dixon area, and couldn't have been a better segue between the Game Changer and this grant, with our grant having a heavy component required for prevention as well. So, does anybody have questions for us? Angela's going to pass out the referral documentation and some other handouts created by the agency.
Yeah, I have a question. Forgive me if you said that you are in tier 1 right now. You haven't moved on to 2 and 3 yet?
We have.
Okay, okay, good, because I was going to ask, what is like your biggest challenge from going 2 to 3? Because it's one to say, okay, here we identified the high risk, now getting them to accept, help and
so
what's
all
been your
3
biggest
tiers
challenge?
are happening simultaneously.
Okay.
So the body safety curriculum, which is required in state code under the Aaron's Law, That is they're supporting that. They're also involved in the Too Good for Drugs. Those are the universal curriculums that they're doing with all students, as well as just being visible and being a part of the school community. That tier 2 is where they're identifying specific groups of students who might just need some intervention, may need some additional supports. This is where they're running their various groups at both schools. And then through SAT, IEPs, other student meetings, we're identifying students who really could benefit from some more intensive supports. And Kristen has been instrumental in making certain, in helping connect students and families with resources. And so with the tier 3 component, it does take a little bit of time. I mean, we're not talking about just here's student, here's counselor, sit down. This is a mental health agency, so there are some things that the family has to do before the services can get started. But the benefit is it's right there in your school, so it makes it very easy.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to say, I think probably a lot of people wonder why we're talking about all this mental health support, social emotional wellness, and all of this, but ultimately, I would think your discipline referrals are going to decrease, and student learning will increase, because people will be able to focus on educational things instead of some of these barriers and roadblocks that are in their heads when they have all these challenges in the home or with themselves or whatever. And this is just really exciting and important work.
Yeah, absolutely. Our goal as a school system is to educate our students, but it's hard to educate our students when their minds are busy with all the other things that they've brought to school. And so this is a way to help clear out some of that, filter out some of that cloud, some of that other stuff that's going on, to help them really be able to focus and benefit from all the things that Mon County schools can provide. Any other questions?
Oh, nope. I don't have any.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So,
Thank you,
yeah,
guys.
we're
Thank
excited
you
to
so
see
much.
what more we can do.
Okay, now we'll finish clearing the room out. Unless you guys want to stay and make us feel good.
Everybody's watching and listening from home, Ron. They don't need to be here.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, ladies.
All right. Madam Deputy Superintendent?
Next item is the back to in-person learning update. This is a requirement of the our funding that we had received. And again, we have to maintain this update. We do it on our website to show that those funds have been utilized and that we are in compliance with all the regulations for COVID. Now, as I'm sure all of you know, last week, actually, DHHR issued an official letter to us that we no longer should maintain any numbers or records of COVID cases, that part of the requirements has been lifted for all school systems in West Virginia. And then again, what we do is keep those regulations on our website, and then officially here, by putting this on the board agenda, let everyone know that we have been in compliance. As a matter of fact, our compliance update monitoring gave us a perfect score on the use of funding and the positions. And I think you have evidence here this evening that supports the fact that so much of that funding is in supports for schools and students, and ultimately our teachers as well.
So just asking, we're not gonna, some counties I know have not spent all their funds, and they keep talking about that over and over, wanting to be sure people are have it covered and they have plans and have done that, but that is not an issue for this county.
It absolutely isn't, and if they can't spend their funds, I know we could. So, yes, we are absolutely utilizing those, and I think, obviously, for the benefit of our students.
We have fulfilled our obligation to talk about that once every 6 months at this point. So let's move on to item G.
Yes, I do have a recommendation for a student expulsion, and I am recommending student number 5600-40067 officially be expelled.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second. For how long?
That is a 365-day expulsion. Again, dictated really through our student behavior compliance pieces.
Okay. Hearing no other questions, all in favor of student expulsion of student 5600-40067, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Deputy Superintendent, let's do some
Yes,
contracts.
all right. After a lot of work and review, particularly on the part of Chris Urban and Nicole Kemper, as you know, every so often we are required to put out a request for information to decide on which company we're going to work with. In this case, it's for our copiers, and that is a pervasive set of copiers and numbers and requirements in our system. It supports our copy center, which is located over MTech, and all of the copiers that are in our schools. So we do recommend at this point, and you have some information that Nicole has put together here for you that does explain our process. Certainly, there is attention to the lowest bid prices, but our rubric was very specific on what the needs of the system are. And both Chris and Nicole very thorough in vetting these four groups that did place a bid for copying. And so at this time, with your review, we are recommending Ford Technologies to be our copier lease for 36 months.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions, board members? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of Ford Office Technologies for copier lease, 36 months, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Moving on.
Okay. Next item is a professional development that our three schools that have been identified as needing additional support. And this is something, again, Norma Gaines, myself, and the three schools worked on to be able to provide for our staff. It's called Get Your Teach On. We have worked with this group before, Hope and Wade King, which are it's a wonderful way to engage our teachers and to help our teachers improve their instructional practice. So I am recommending that we approve this.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. Any questions?
Yes, I've got several.
Okay.
Is this for one day?
It is for three schools.
$26,500 for 6 hours. Comes out to $4,416.66 an hour. That's 10 times more than the most senior person at Bowles Rice that we pay as a lawyer. I looked at their website, did a little homework. I think the grand total, one of them has a grand total of 11 years of teaching experience. And I think one of them won a district award. And I'm thinking of the talent, that we have in this county, teachers. Why couldn't we do that? Why couldn't we have our national award teachers? We have teachers that win national awards in this county with more than 11 years experience who could do just as good a job, if not better. I just don't know what we get out of this. That's $26,500. I don't know how I can look a taxpayer in the eyes and say, yeah, we spent $26,500 in one day of workshops for three schools.
I have to say, I kind of agree. I I don't know how this group was chosen, but looking at the agenda and being a former teacher, it feels like it resembles one of those entertaining. I mean, it looks like it would be engaging, but how much, how percentage wise, is I see this as being something like a handful of teachers are going to get a great idea from it and use it the next year and maybe the following year, but is it really going to make the impact for $26,000 for a day? That did go, yeah.
Well,
So-
I will say, this is subsidized not by the school district. This is funding that's provided by the state to support the teachers at these schools and to try to improve their practice. So we're required to proceed in this manner. Now, again,
We're required to give them a day of instruction for those 3 schools?
we have professional development.
Okay.
Absolutely. And again, the state is funding this. And I will say that we've been so fortunate over the years to support our schools with everything. This Board of Education, this district has supported every need. So there are not a lot of needs in Monongalia County schools that are left unattended. I have not seen this particular group, but they have received consistent high marks, and particularly from teachers. So this is something that the schools had all collaborated on to say this is what they would like to have.
Those 3 schools
Those
decided?
3 schools, yes.
Is that decided by the principals or teachers?
Well, I think involvement by all. It was discussed, obviously, with the teachers as to what they wanted, and yes, so it's, I think, that it is something that, I don't know that every teacher had, there was no vote to have it, but it certainly was something that they had asked to have.
Did
And
they
this
ask
comes
for
out
this
of
particular
county
group?
funds?
Yes,
I'm
this-
sorry.
I'm sorry, state funds, not county
State
funds.
funds, yes. And yes, this is a particular group.
They requested this group?
I believe so, yes, that is my understanding. Again, this group does a certain type of presentation, and yes, it's engaging. It's my understanding, it's engaging, so, but again, you need engagement in order to help keep everyone's attention, and yes, try to provide different strategies that can be utilized by the staff at that building.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I went on their website, I looked at a few of their YouTube videos. It looks just like they repackaged a lot of things that have been out there for decades. And for $26,500, I know it's not coming from the county, but boy, if we could, $26,500, we could spend it in many ways than I think in just directing at this one group. I think it's just, I mean, I looked at their website, it looks like the commodification of education. They sell backpacks and sweatshirts and T-shirts and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, what is your real mission here? And, if you look at the expenses, I just said, okay, they're coming from Atlanta, what's a round-trip flight, first class, they rented a big SUV, I took like all the top expenses, and they still would be getting probably $22,000. I can't think of anybody in education that's worth $22,000. I'm sorry, I just, you could resurrect, Jean Piaget and John Dewey and Horace Mann, and I don't even know they'd be worth $22,000 for one day.
So what other schools are involved? Because we see the application and where that's going to be.
Yes, it's Mason-Dixon,
Okay.
Skyview, and Mountain View. Those are the 3 identified schools based on scores with their achievement. And again, I know there was a lot of time invested in trying to make something that was appropriate. I don't disagree that it's a lot of money. It is. And I will say that I'm in the process of looking at other ways to provide development for our administrators. And the prices, they do, it's daunting. I don't
Yeah.
disagree. But that, I would say, is about what across the board we're looking at.
It's just be nice to look at the, like, train the trainers. We've got so many brilliant people
We do.
that are
We really do.
doing
Absolutely.
coaching and even being team leaders and leading their schools within themselves that, like, yeah.
A lot of
I'd love to
people,
see us
though-
tap into some of that to share, and I'm gonna be the one that says, these schools they're in the yellow because they have a demographic that's difficult, not because they're not doing a fantastic job. So I'd love to see, like, let's attack the what's difficult and give, like, the mental health and if that money could go towards that rather than, but
That's a good
I mean,
idea.
if it's a dictated professional development, I understand that, but
Well, I was gonna ask, if we did do it in-house, can we spend this money?
That's certainly a fair question. I believe there is latitude with spending money. I just know that, again, the state expects us to do this.
Well, what I was getting at is,
Not this, but
if we say we're not gonna do this, does that money go elsewhere, and then we wind up funding it from county funds to do it?
again, I don't know that I can answer that directly. I
That's
don't
okay.
think the funding goes anywhere else. It does have to be expended by these schools. And Jen, I agree. These schools are doing everything. The monitoring reports, again, our teachers and our staff at those schools are working as hard as anyone. And we're seeing progress. But there are things that they haven't met a standard on based on what the state measurement is. And to that end, again, I think I know there was a lot of thought into trying to see what could support the teachers at the school. I know it was discussed. I don't know to what level anybody else expressed any interest in doing something differently.
And we have had staff who's made their own companies and gone out and done this, and I will tell you, that's pretty much what they charge. They took,
$4,000 an hour?
yeah,
Psh, we'd be
we've had
foolish to pay
past
for it.
principals.
have to start
No,
We'd be foolish to pay
no,
for it.
I'm saying there's people,
I
our
know.
staff who started companies.
Okay, they can
who
start any
went out
company
and
they want,
did
but
it.
we'd be foolish to pay for it.
Well,
Nobody's worth $4,000 an hour. Even a cardiac surgeon, I looked it up, they're not even $4,000 an hour,
Depends on whether they're working on your kid or not.
much less somebody with
That's
11
true.
years teaching
That's true,
experience.
100%. You're right.
So I guess we're ready to,
I'm still listening.
I think I
You
got
can jump in
quiet.
anytime, Ron.
It's the mechanic that knocked on the part of the engine and didn't tear the whole thing apart and knew where it hit the hammer. Do these guys know where to swing the hammer, where to hit it? It's not what you do, it's what you know.
and the other thing is, we have staffs with varying levels of experience
We have
and
the best staff. We have the best
competency,
staff.
and,
Oh,
but in
absolutely.
but I'm saying, in each building.
Yes.
So when you go to something where it's all your building together, I mean, you're gonna have your more tenured teachers with your less tenured teachers, and I mean, I don't know what could be put together to get everybody on board at the same time, from internal people that don't have a program of some sort put together. I'm not gonna defend the cost or anything else, but obviously there's a reason that these folks go around and do this. There must be some value to what they do. I mean,
They hit school districts with deep pockets, that's what they do.
well, I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think everyone that does professional development, you could say that about a lot of other programs that are national programs. I think you can't generalize. I mean, I would think that we have competent staffs that chose this.
I'm not saying national programs are a wash. What I'm saying is $4,400 an hour. I just watched 60 Minutes Sunday. It talked about price gouging, defense contract. I think this is educational price gouging.
Before we wind up
I think
getting
it is.
sued, let's move on to that.
I'm certainly willing to go back to the schools and ask them if they have something else they'd like to look at, and then perhaps bring this back if this is indeed what they would like to do. I am going to say that the prices are current. I've actually been working on this, and again, Do I think it's a lot of money? I absolutely do.
Can-
And, the value of it is in the eye of the beholder, I guess, what you take away from it, and.
We have some
and you
time,
utilize
right?
it.
This
Yes,
isn't
we
until
do.
September.
We do.
Can we get some more information? Like, cause
Sure.
the agenda we got is like singing and,
Yes.
can we get some more
There's-
information about
there is-
what
yes.
the takeaways are from this
Absolutely.
program?
Right.
I think that's a fair
I'd
request.
feel better about that.
Okay.
And I would like to know if the schools, if this is the one they want, and
Sure.
why they want it.
Yeah,
Sure.
why they chose this
Sure.
over other ones. that
If they
are
did
good.
choose it, right?
Sure.
Because you
Yeah.
weren't sure if they really wanted
I believe
this.
they did, but I want to
Okay.
confirm all that. So
Okay.
let me pull this from the agenda for tonight, and get some more details to
Well,
all
thank
of
you,
you.
I appreciate that. I mean,
Certainly.
maybe you can tell them what the price tag is too.
Well, yes.
So do
Let
you
them see
want-
if it's worth it.
So do we need to table the motion?
Yeah, I don't know.
I
whose
made the motion.
Okay, just,
So I move to table my motion.
okay, thank you.
Well, do you want it tabled or just, because if you
It's
table,
rescinded, it's good. It's
Rescind
tabled,
it, I'll
rescinded.
rescind it.
yeah, because
I will
if you
rescind
table
my
it, it means it's got to be addressed in the next meeting.
Yes.
Where
Well, I
he may
thought
not.
that's what we were gonna do.
It depends how long it takes her to get the
Right,
time.
that's what I was getting at.
I thought that was the idea.
We're
Yeah,
not-
yeah.
We're, Robert's Rules of
Small
Order
group.
for small groups, so I don't care what you call it. It's not on the agenda tonight anymore. Let's move on.
All right, under reports, discussion, follow-up, and action, accounts payable, I think Mr. Kelly will need to recuse himself as I make a recommendation.
I am
to-
recusing myself because I have a business relationship with a contractor.
Yes. So I recommend that we make this expenditure.
So moved.
Yes, to the board. I'm sorry, I
Second.
yes.
You're good.
I'm making a motion, not
Motion.
recommending, it's
I
all right.
second it.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments? All in favor, accounts payable addendum A, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Now Nancy
The,
Walker's leaving.
Yes, so, under accounts payable B, addendum B, I do motion that we pay this with recusing Nancy Walker, as she has left the room for this vote.
Okay. I need a motion.
So
So,
moved.
second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? All in favor of accounts payable addendum B as presented, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Works perfect.
Thank you. Right, consent agenda, yeah.
What's wrong?
That's
That's a girl.
the message here. So, yes, a
Yeah, we
motion
need,
that,
can I take, we have a recess?
yes,
Thank you.
great idea, thank you, yes. Great idea.
I was waiting for Dan.
Okay, it's nice to stand up. I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor of the consent agenda as presented, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. I have no update. Board member updates.
I
Anybody?
could have one with the MPO, but I'll hold off since we're running so late.
Well, I was going to say the art students from Clay Battelle University High and Morgantown High have displays at the Creative Arts Center if you have a chance to go see it. It's beautiful, beautiful. So much talent in this county, and it just never ceases to amaze me. So if you ever get a chance to go out and check it out, I think it's here for the
It's all week.
rest of the week. All week,
All
yep.
week.
Is it in their like little thing as soon as you walk in the door,
Yeah,
right?
as soon as you
Okay,
go, right.
that's awesome.
Very nice. All right. Deputy Superintendent, let's do some policy.
Yes, so we are ready for some policies here. So I know Ms. Caradon is prepared. I am recommending we approve policy 2114.
Just introduced
Oh,
and discussed.
thank you. Okay,
I do that all the time.
thank you. Sorry.
These are quick tonight.
Yes.
So, policy 2114, this change is a result of, West Virginia Board of Education policy change to 2322, which is simply a change to the Office of Support and Accountability, which is now just called the West Virginia Department of Education. So, this is reflective of that change, and it's just basically a name change. Nothing really substantive here.
All right, thank you. Moving on. Are there any questions about the name change? Sorry, I gave you guys the opportunity. Figured it. Go ahead.
Right, motion policy 2120, B.
Okay, 2120 is also reflective of a change to West Virginia Board of Education policy 2322. And this adds on the district and school improvement, and it suggests that public schools should also collect data related to student participation in extra and co-curricular activities, as well as community service, capstone experiences, internships, and other opportunities to gauge student involvement. So that additional language is added to the policy, and everything else remains the same on this.
Any questions? Moving to C.
Recommend that we look at policy 2230.
Okay, another introductory policy, again, very simple. This is a change in terminology, and this is reflective of West Virginia Board of Education policy 2510, which changed the term early learning programs to early and elementary programs. So this change just reflects that terminology change. I'm sorry, this policy reflects that. That's it for the new ones.
So,
Anybody have any questions or comments about those? Okay, moving on.
So, the next policies do require action by the board. Policy 01423.
So orientation and training going out for first reading, Jennifer?
We discussed this at the last meeting. This one was just a technical change again, terminology wise.
I should have got a motion first, but I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and any questions, comments from the board members? All in favor of policy 0142.3, orientation and training for first reading, signify by aye. Aye, opposed, the same.
Again, motion to approve policy 1617 for first reading. Jennifer?
Let me get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Jennifer?
This we talked about last time with the weapons, and just to address the issue on the knives. So I want to just be clear that there are no knives permitted in school regardless of the size. And it's actually not necessarily addressed in this one, but it is in the student policy, which we'll get to here.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of policy 1617, weapons for first reading, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Deputy Superintendent?
Again, recommendation to, for first reading, policy 3217.
motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Jennifer, 3217.
And was there any questions? I mean, same with this.
Same exact, okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, all in favor of policy 3217, weapons for first reading, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same.
And then again, recommend policy 4217 for first reading, weapons. Jennifer?
I need a motion.
So,
Second. All right, Dan's on second. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of policy 4217, weapons for first reading, signify by aye.
aye.
Opposed the same. Thank you.
Okay, and final policy under first readings, no, two more. Policy 5772.
You need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions from the board? Comments? Hearing none, all in favor of policy 5772, weapons for first reading, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same.
And finally, policy 7217.
Okay, need a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of policy 7217, weapons for first reading, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Thank you. Let's do the fun part. Let's hire somebody.
Yes.
I move we go into executive session for personnel.
Okay.
So moved.
I need a
Second.
second. All right, thank you. All in favor of going to executive session for personnel, signify by aye. Aye. Opposed the same. Okay, let's go, 5 board members and
We'll just leave the room.
we'll just go there.
Next door.
Secret advertising.
Every time I look back there, I see Saturday Night Live.
You know,
Okay, coming back into
Oh, yeah,
regular
yeah.
session,
Go ahead, Lucy. NPR.
coming out of executive session with no action taken while in executive session. Deputy Superintendent, Personnel.
Yes. We have the regular agenda here, and then we do have an addendum. For the regular personnel approval, I would like to recommend with these changes. Page 7, line 8, change full-time to half-time.
Okay.
Page 10, delete lines 4 and 5. And page 10, delete lines 13 and 14. And with that, I recommend the personnel agenda be approved.
Okay, I need a motion.
Move we accept the recommendations.
Second.
Okay, I got a first and a second. Any questions from the board on the personnel list? Hearing none, all in favor of the personnel list as presented signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, the same.
And then we do have an addendum to the personnel list, no change. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. So item B on the agenda is the new positions, and you have a page on that, which does change the structure here, which would change, first of all, adding a position of coordinator of media and marketing, which would be full-time here at the board office, and then an elementary teacher at Skyview for special education, and 2 autism mentors, again, based on student IEP.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
You got Nancy's a second. Okay, any questions, comments from the board members? Hearing none, all in favor of new positions as presented signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Okay, Deputy?
Yes, and we have a personnel addendum, no changes, recommended as is.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Okay, all in favor of the personnel list addendum as presented signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Our next board member, our next board member is future election. Our next board meeting is Tuesday, June 13th.
Could I just do a reminder about the retirement dinner?
Absolutely.
Which is June the 7th, and I think you've all gotten invitations to that. But, I know Teresa has coordinated all of that.
And it will be located at?
It is located at I call it the 4-H building, but it's not called that.
Milan Park.
Mon County Center out there.
It's a nice looking building.
It's a beautiful building. Yes, it is.
The
And we've
builder
used
really
it
knew
many
what he was doing
times.
when he did that.
We've used it many times, and we do have catering from Back Bay Catering. You know, they're no longer open as a restaurant, but they do a fabulous catering business, so they are catering for us. Unfortunately, the MTech individuals that they have another commitment, so, and we have gotten graciously funding from one of our partners in ed, so the costs have been covered for everyone. So
And what time does that start?
6 o'clock, yes.
On
And
what
we'll make sure there's some reminders out there with some more details.
What day of the week is that?
I'm sorry.
What day of the week is that?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, we couldn't get, we tried for Tuesday.
June 7th.
Yeah, we could not get, I tried and tried, but I could not get the Tuesday.
I think we've done on that retirement dinner, I think we've done kind of
We have different
days.
times, yeah. It always had, I think it was on a Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They're retired, they can make it. So every day's a Sunday.
I know. It's my food meeting.
Yeah.
And graduations this week.
Very exciting, coming up. I know we're well prepared here, and my biggest concern is the weather. So I have watched that weather report,
Supposedly
and
supposed to be
it does look good, and I'm very excited. I know the schools are very excited, and they've worked really, really hard to make this a wonderful event for students, family, and friends.
Is this for graduation?
Yes, it is at University High. If you're coming there, you know, parking is not necessarily easy. And nor is it at Morgantown High, but we do have buses running. We do have, and last year, honestly, it was easy for me. But because so many people chose to do off-site parking and chose to come in, it really worked seamlessly, and even I was impressed by
Wasn't
that.
the parking garage, didn't we have a
Uh-huh,
special deal with that?
Yes,
Where they
and we shuttled from there, we shuttled from, I think, the mall. So everybody was very gracious as far as working so that there wouldn't be that massive crowding, because as we all know, Morgantown High is landlocked. So amazingly, and again, that's thanks to our transportation folks and everyone involved. We've got security, we covered everything.
Okay. Adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't do so good, Ron, 3 hours.
Great, that's what I.